Tomorrow will mark an absolutely massive day in markets as we are awaiting the CPI number as well as the meeting minutes from the Federal Reserve. A action-packed day tomorrow, and so today I figured we could take some time, take a look at some charts, and prepare ourselves for the craziness. Let's jump in. In other news, IMF revises global growth forecast lower. The IMF revised its global growth forecast lower to 2.8 from 2.9 and to 3% from 3.1% for 2024, citing tight policy stances needed to bring down inflation, the fallout from the recent deterioration in financial conditions, and the ongoing war in Ukraine. On the price front, global inflation is seen decreasing, although more slowly than initially anticipated, to 7% this year. Interesting to get global stuff here in the picture, as we do tend to focus a lot on the US. This will be interesting. Let's see how the charts are reacting today. All right, guys, and I figured we could start today by taking a look at one of my personal trades that I'm in. I'm currently long GBP JPY, and this trade is running hot. I entered this yesterday on camera. In fact, it was right before the live stream got started, and we jumped into the market. And you can see this is basically where I entered the trade, and so far this thing has just been floating higher as sort of a little bit of an appetite for the pound has really come into play. We'll talk more about that in just a second. It does seem like institutional traders really favor the pound yen long, as like I said, we'll take a look at closer soon. Floating about $356 on this particular trade, and then I'm also long the S&P 500. I'll pause and I'll show you guys that as well. All right, and here is the S&P 500 trade as well. So I am currently floating about $190 on this trade. So I've got two good runners here, both sort of oriented towards the risk on side of markets. And again, we have to be very cautious here. My goal is to trail stops going into this event tomorrow, because again, we are expecting high levels of volatility, and markets are heavily anticipating inflation numbers to, again, the forecast is for inflation to continue lower. Let's take a look at that now. Okay, so we've got inflation numbers here pulled up, and this is setting the stage for tomorrow's CPI number. Now again, CPI is an important statistic because it shows us inflation here in the United States, and inflation is of course reported all over the world. Currently, the US inflation is of course still high, but not as bad off as some other places, like you've got Europe, NZD, AUD, and GBP still rocking that 10% plus inflation figure. Now I want to isolate here. We could see all the different things, all the different currencies, countries in their inflation, but I want to isolate, especially for tomorrow's event, the US inflation number. Now, again, in terms of inflation, we've seen inflation peak, according to the CPI at least, June of 2022 or June of 2022. We saw inflation peak around 9% and has since retreated back down to 6%. Now, this is headed in the right direction, but the argument, or I guess the market is trying to argue over whether or not it's happening fast enough to actually outpace the need for more interest rate hikes. Now, again, the market has increased its optimism in this regard, as we've seen that in the case of the dollar. The dollar has been very, very weak as people are sort of ruling out a lot more rate hikes. Does the market have this right or wrong? We'll have to see. But as a trader, my perspective is, well, right now, it seems the market is, the momentum is, hey, inflation is at some point possibly going to lead to a softer than expected landing. It's not going to all come crashing down. Again, this is not, I'm not, forecasting per se. I'm sort of just reacting to what's going on. That seems to be the flow of the market right now, which has recently lent towards more upside on gold. I am still bullish on gold. And taking a look at it today, the question is it a good value around $2,000 an ounce? I think, honestly, I saw this big pullback here, really retested deeper than I thought it was. I thought 2,000 would hold beautifully. It didn't quite, so I ended up taking a profit on a trade. Now, I'm referring to, if you guys watch the channel, I bought it back here, and I sold my gold out on a break of that $2,000 mark. So I'm watching for a potential re-entry on the trading side of things. I do not currently have one, as like I showed you. strategy. I've got GJ long, SPX 500 long, but I am also watching gold as a possible buy as well. Why gold? Well, gold in terms of COT data still looks really attractive. I'll show you guys this. So this is the latest in terms of the commitment of traders data that we have imported into the Edge Finder. And taking a look at this, you can see our top 3 buys are gold, oil, and the Japanese stock market. On the sell side, and I mentioned, remember I talked about this earlier, the Japanese yen continues to be the #1 most heavily shorted asset in terms of number of contracts or ratio, I'm sorry, in the futures contracts that we track here through the COT data. The Japanese yen continues to look like a sell in my personal opinion, which is why I am currently long GBP JPY, right? I am selling the yen, I am buying the pound. Now, I mentioned earlier, I alluded to this notable thing about the pound. If you're watching pound pairs, check this out, guys. The pound recently had an 18,000 long contract increase on the long side, bringing its long exposure up tremendously. Now, what we do here, for those of you guys who are Edge Finder users, we track the long versus short percentages. That's what we really pay attention to at that top of the screen that we just looked at. Well, recently, the pound is still net heavily short by a significant margin, but not nearly as significant. It's had an incredibly big increase in long positions added to it, showing there might be a turn here coming for the pound in terms of institutional interest to the long side. Now, of course, shorts are still heavy. We do have a slight increase in short contracts, and short contracts overall still at 61,000. So when talking about the pound, it's not necessarily the most bullish on the list, but it is vastly improving. And in terms of comparing it with the Japanese yen, I am still very much preferring to short the yen, buy the pound, which is exactly what I've done with the trade alert shared inside of our Discord channel. So again, I track COT data, I track retail sentiment using the Edge Finder. If you guys don't have access to this, by the way, we are doing a super sale on this product. Literally the best price of the entire year is going on right now. And if you'd like to get access to that, we've got a link that we'll have down below in the description. That link looks a little like this. When you click on it, it will bring you to a chat log where you can actually have a conversation to one of my staff members here at A1 Trading. If you'd like access to the software, or you'd like access to our Discord channel, or both, you can currently get the biggest discount of the entire year. You click that link, you head over here and you click tell me about your discounts, and it will connect you with one of our support representatives who can answer your questions and get you set up with the software tool or access to the Discord if you think this would be helpful to you in your trading. We've had a lot of people sign up with the new tool features, which is absolutely fantastic, and I want to make sure to get it as many people that would like it for the current sale price discount. So we're doing 40% off, but if you do it right now, if you send a chat message, there's going to be a secret extra discount available to you guys, YouTube subscribers. There is a extra discount for you there. So do not miss this opportunity. Click that link in the description right now, and you can have a conversation to get access to your copy of the Edge Finder. So I'm continuing to take a look at also retail sentiment, a notable indicator that we pay attention to. I want to show you guys some of the indices here. I mentioned I'm long SPX 500. Well, take a look at here with me, and you can see part of the reason for that is that retail traders are pretty short biased when it comes to the indices. And again, this is a notable thing because again, the crowd is very convinced, very pessimistic that the stock market will continue to fall. Whereas I noticed, I find that very interesting. You've got US 30 here, you've got UK 100, pretty much uniformly. The indices around the world, retail positioning in terms of broker positioning is very short biased, and notably so to the point that it actually, in my opinion, is a bullish indicator. A lot of the market is very convinced that the stock market cannot possibly go higher, that it is, doomed to fail. And to their credit, we've had a pretty ugly stock market the last couple of years, and there is an argument for some resistance up in this area. In fact, even Frank on our live stream today, he spoke a little bit about this, and it was a fair point. He talked about the fact that if you look at the S&P 500 in terms of a resistance point, along this trend line, we've had a lot of resistance, and we are currently at that point. My personal opinion, as the Federal Reserve seems increasingly likely to see what it wants to see in terms of inflation numbers and that sort of thing, I think it has potential to break out. One concern is that in terms of jobs numbers, the Federal Reserve, and this is a little fundamental analysis for you guys, in terms of the Federal Reserve's observing of jobs data. Jobs data here is still relatively strong. Usually, in order to crack inflation, the Federal Reserve may need to see unemployment go up, right? They secretly, in my opinion, they kind of want to see that happen. It hasn't happened yet. And so there's kind of still that case for a potential soft landing if inflation does continue to decline. Again, we'll see. We have that that inflation number coming out tomorrow, which will be very telling to markets. We will be live for that event. I want to encourage you guys, come join us for that event. We'll be live on the channel. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and if you hit the notification bell, you can join us live. We will be alive for that event. We'll be alive and alive for that event tomorrow, hopefully alive. We'll be doing that here live in the office. So tune in, we'll see you there. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Hey, guess what? I just found a video made just for you. Click this video to help with your trading, and thanks for watching.